Hello and welcome to yet another Adrenalin Shot, your short, sharp injection of something valuable. And today I have a very special guest joining me. I'd like to welcome Patrick Renvoise from Sales Brain, who's coming to us from Reno, Nevada. Hello to you, Patrick.
Hello, Don, and good to meet you.
Thank you very much. So Patrick's got some really interesting things to share with us today. And let me tell you a little bit about him before we start with some of our questions. And Patrick knows he has 5 minutes once the interview time starts. I've got my phone beside me here ready for 5 minutes. So Patrick has 3 passions in life: science, marketing, and the human brain. Sounds like a really interesting combination, Patrick, and I can't wait to dig into your brain to find out more about that. For years as a specialist in complex business development transactions, Patrick felt that the world was missing a more scientific step-by-step model to explain how customers use their brain to make buying decisions. So he spent 2 years researching and formalizing the first 100% science-based persuasion model called NeuroMAP. In 2002, Patrick and his business partner, Dr. Christophe Morin, authored the first book on neuromarketing and published NeuroMAP. This proprietary, award-winning methodology has been used for the past 14 years to help over 6,000 companies worldwide scientifically capture, scientifically convince, and scientifically close more business. Now, prior to co-founding Sales Brain, Patrick was in charge of business development at Silicon Graphics and then at Linux Care. And in the course of closing over $4 billion worth of business transactions and selling multi-million-dollar supercomputers to NASA, Boeing, Shell, Canon, BMW, Airbus, and more, Patrick met with some of the smartest people on earth and became fascinated by how the human brain makes decisions. So this started his scientific quest, if you like, to unveil NeuroMAP, a map leading to the buy button inside the brain. And Patrick, at the moment, you're currently serving as Chief Neuromarketing Officer of Sales Brain. So I really welcome you today.
Thank you.
Can't wait to find out more about NeuroMAP and what it is. But I gather to start with that you've got a new book coming out, which is titled The Persuasion Code. So is persuasion a science? Is that what you're saying? And if that's the case, what prompted you to investigate the science of persuasion?
So before I go into this, let me show you the map. So we really have a map. It's called NeuroMAP, and that map points to the buy button inside the brain. In fact, all the awards that we have received are for this particular map. Now, when we wrote the very first book about 17 years ago, actually, at that time, the word neuromarketing barely existed. It just started to appear. People did not understand what we were doing. And it took us another 17 to 18 years to come up with a new iteration of the book. And we have expanded the original work that we've done to really talk about the science of human persuasion. And as you know, of course, human persuasion has to do with the human brain. So it's all about what are some of the physiological and psychological processes that happen in the brain of your customers when you try to influence them, when you try to sell them something. And when I say sell, it could be just selling an ID, for example, if you're a politician. It could be trying to influence your spouse if you're trying to, go play tennis instead of go ski. So my background as a scientist always bugged me because, I studied computer science and then I was involved in a lot of marketing activities, and nobody ever told me that marketing can become a pure science. In fact, a lot of people believe that marketing and sales is as much an art as it is a science. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't like the artistic part because I cannot replicate, right? So my quest for the last almost 20 years of my life now has been to create a simple scientific model of what people do with their brain when they make a decision. Now, that field up until recently was really reserved for specialists. There are people with a PhD who teach other PhD the science of persuasion. In fact, it's not really called the science of persuasion. They talk a lot about various kind of cognitive biases. In fact, to date, there are 188 cognitive biases. And if you think about it, a cognitive biases is a scientific reason of why Homo sapiens is not rational.
So can you give me an example of a cognitive bias so that we understand what that means?
Yes, sure. So cognitive bias, again, there are 188 of them.
Yeah.
I will tell you a little bit about what's called the recency and primacy biases. So these are two of the biases. And here is how it works. If human beings were rational decision-making machines, their brain would process information linearly, right? In other words, if I was going to give you a list of 10 words, if your brain was rational and linear, you would remember as much the first word as the fifth word as the 10th word. So we would remember the things really like. Unfortunately, one of the human biases is called the recency, another one is called the primacy effect. What does that mean? That means if I give you a list of 10 words, you will easily remember the first words, you will easily remember the last words in my list, but the words in the middle, you will forget it. Yeah. So there is a curve of human attention retention, which is called a U-shape like this. Again, it's based on two of those cognitive biases. And of course, it has huge consequences on everything you do in sales and marketing. One of the consequences is if in your sales process you have 10 steps or 10 visits with your customers, that means your customer will remember the first visit they had with you, they'll remember the last visit, but the fifth visit is far less important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, I've described two of the 188 cognitive biases. Now, some of them were discovered very recently. In fact, one of the last one is called the Ikea Effect. So let me tell you a little bit about this one.
Ikea as in the store Ikea.
Correct. That's the name that they gave it.
Yes.
And this bias says that, well, imagine you own two pieces of furniture. And imagine you've owned these pieces of furniture for a long time, let's say 10 years. Now, if you both bought them for $1,000, logic would say that after 10 years, you would be willing to resell those pieces of furniture for $300. Unfortunately, because of the IKEA effect, though, people have established that if you are involved with that piece of furniture, in that particular case, it's involved in the assembly of the piece of furniture, right? Then your brain will believe it's worth more than the original 300 that we talked about.
Right.
So if you have an emotional attachment with something, if you spend more time with an object, then this object becomes more valuable. So it's one of the very last one that was discovered, and they couldn't find a better name than calling it the IKEA effect. So again, there are 188 of them. Some of them are really, really complicated.
Yeah.
They've been discovered by people like Daniel Kahneman, who won the Economy Nobel Prize. They were discovered by people that teach other people about this, but nobody had ever created a bridge between that world, the world of neuroscience, neuropsychology, and the world of business. So this is what we've been doing, and we've been at it for 18 years now.
Wow. Okay. So would you say it's a really complicated science? It sounds it to me, but...
Well, it is a complicated science if you take it from the theory perspective. But what we've done is we've made it very, very easy. In other words, in our NeuroMAP here, right, we've taken into account these 188 cognitive biases. We've simplified them. We give people rules of thumbs. But the big difference also is we do not tell people, trust us. We say, this is how it works in sales and marketing. You don't have to trust us. If you don't trust us, here is the science behind it. And here is why we deducted you need to do that.
Yep. Yep. So that I think you probably heard my bell here. Can you believe that was 5 minutes already?
I'm not surprised.
This is so intriguing that I might have to have you back for another interview. But tell me, where could people get a copy of that map or find out a bit more about it? And then what I'm going to do is book in another interview with you, because this is really, really fascinating.
Right. So our new book is available on Amazon. It's not released yet. The official release date, I believe, is September 12th of this year. It's going to be first available in English, and then we have the other languages coming up soon. I'm just going to tell you in one word, what the concept that we have come up with. In other words, by studying the brain, we've noticed that it's not a rational brain that makes decisions, that drives the decision-making process. We believe it's what's called the Primal Brain or the reptilian brain. It has many different names. Kahneman called it System 1. Kahneman, again, won the Nobel Prize in Economy, and he wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And he talks about two systems in the brain, the fast system, the slow system. The fast system is System 1, or the Primal Brain. And the second system, which he named very unoriginally System 2, is what makes us uniquely smart. It's what makes us, it's our neocortex. So again, we have enough scientific proofs today to say without the shadow of a doubt that we human beings make decisions at the level of a reptile. And that reptilian brain can be explained with some simple rules. By the way, that reptilian brain explains the 188 cognitive biases that we have. because
Right.
it's all evolutionary based, right? I mean, unfortunately, there was a time where we were a very primal unicellular. And even today, unicellulars make decisions based on survival. So that's, in a nutshell, our concept. Now, of course, I could spend 3 days talking about it, but
no, I'm going to get you to stop so I can ask you a few more questions within another interview at another time. So I'm going to do that if that's all right.
Absolutely.
So where might people get a copy of your wonderful map, or how would they? I mean, they can get the book on Amazon, but that map, is there a way of them having a look at how it works? What do they do?
Yes, the map is displayed on our website. So if you go on our website, you'll get a copy of the map. I mean, of course, the map is a very condensed version of the whole thing, but we walk the talk. In other words, we apply our methodology, because that reptilian brain that I'm talking about, that primal brain, is mostly visual. So we forced ourselves to create a visual to help people understand, because in the end, it's super complicated. But by making it visual, you eliminate already almost 50% of the complexity just by making the information more brain friendly.
Yes. And so people can hop on to salesbrain.com and have a look around on there, yes?
They will see the poster.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Patrick, thank you very much. We're going to come back for another interview, because I think most people will find this a fascinating science and so effective, obviously so useful, and that's probably what we're going to talk about next, is how can we apply this? What do we do? So thank you very much for today. Well, I'll give you a bit more than 5 minutes, another 5 minutes. So thank you very much for today's interview, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.